Did you know you can use your laziness to help you lose weight? In today's video, I'm going to give you 5 tips on how to do just that. So as human beings, we all kind of have this tendency to be lazy, or at least I do. And normally you might think of that as a bad thing when it comes to the weight loss journey because you're trying to, move more and eat less. The good news is you can harness the power of your laziness to help you eat less food, which will then help you lose weight. Tip number 1 is to put food in an inconvenient location, especially those that you are prone to snack on. I love to eat all the foods. I'll have chips in my house and I'll have cookies and all those things because I believe all foods are good as long as you just don't overeat on them. But having those foods out on a counter or just easily accessible can make it really easy to just graze and overeat on them. So when you bring those things home from the grocery store, instead of just leaving things like a bag of chips out on the counter, go ahead and put it away, like put it into your pantry or into your cabinetry so that you're not always looking at it. There's a little bit of out of sight, out of mind going on, but also just the inconvenience of having to look for it and to find it will help you eat it less. Or if you need to make it a little bit more difficult, you can also put it on a really high shelf and kind of like back in the back so that, it's not like you cannot get to it, but if you do want to get to it, you got to put in a little bit of effort. Tip number 2 is to make it harder on yourself to eat second helpings. Now, sometimes it is appropriate to have second helpings. Like if you're just trying to eat OMAD, eating 1 meal a day, you're probably going to need, like 2 platefuls of food. But if you're eating several meals throughout the day, it's probably a good idea to just have the 1 portion or to be really discerning if you need that second portion. One thing I found that was helpful was to have the food be in one room and me and my plate in another. So I would fix my plate in the kitchen and then, like if it was supper time, I would just leave all the food in the kitchen and then I would go take my plate into the dining room to eat. So if I wanted seconds, I could still have them, but I had to actually physically get up from the table and go get the seconds, which gave me enough time to really consider whether I wanted it or not. Whereas if all the food's just out there on the table, it's a lot easier to grab, another roll and a second helping of various things. You can also apply this to something like if you're making a sandwich. If normally you have 2 sandwiches, just go ahead and make the 1 sandwich, make it the whole way, prepare it and everything. And then before you eat it, go ahead and put everything away. The mayonnaise, the meat, everything is away, wipe down the crumbs and everything so it's nice and neat, and then go have your sandwich. And your deal with yourself can be, yes, you can have a second sandwich if you want to, but the odds are that second sandwich is going to seem kind of like a pain, and so you probably won't even make it. And if you're willing to go through all that trouble, it probably means that you really did need the second sandwich. Tip number 3 is to make stuff from scratch. So again, I like eating all the foods. I don't have anything against Twinkies or, chocolate chip cookies or Oreos. So here's the thing. A lot of the convenience foods that you buy are, both really tasty and delicious, and they're really easy, and they're really hard to stop eating on once you've started. I mean, these foods have been engineered by food scientists to the bliss point, meaning that it makes it really hard to stop once you've started. And since they're so enjoyable, it's really hard to just cut these out of your life. So a nice compromise is to just make these things at home yourself. And here's the thing, it's kind of a pain to make things from scratch. So what you'll find is you'll be eating these types of foods less often because of the increased difficulty in making them. But even if you figure out like, hey, I'm actually a really good baker and I really enjoy this process and I'm making a lot of baked goods, the good news is those foods that you're making are much easier to stop on once you've had enough. So it can still help you to lose weight. Tip number 4 is to procrastinate on eating. When you're trying to lose weight, from time to time, you're gonna feel hungry. And so your natural inclination is gonna be to, go get yourself some food. But instead, if you can just put it off, procrastinate on it and just say, I'm gonna wait like 20 minutes before I eat, you'll probably find that you end up not eating. Or you can even do something like when you're feeling hungry, instead of going and getting a snack, just let yourself take a nap instead. And look, you were gonna be snacking anyway, so it's not like you're going to be productive. Plus, naps are really useful because when you're more well-rested, you're going to make better decisions about how much to eat. Tip number 5 is to really focus on how much work it is to, go and figure out what to eat and to actually make the thing and then to clean up afterwards. And think about all the dirty dishes that you're going to create. And if you're like me, the idea of like creating more work for yourself is going to probably be enough to convince you to just hold off for a little while on eating. So I hope that you found these tips helpful. Of course, any of these can be overcome. You can go to the pantry and grab that bag of chips and overeat on them, or, you can go make that second sandwich. But As human beings, we do have this inbuilt tendency to want to conserve energy. So I think you'll find if you implement them, even though they seem really simple, you'll find that you end up eating less. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. I want to take a moment to thank all the insiders who have joined this channel. Insiders get access to my vlog, and in my vlog, I talk about how I'm implementing intermittent fasting in my own life in maintenance. I also talk about experiments I'm running, and I give behind the scenes looks at this channel. Insiders also get shout outs and access to a weekly members only live. If you'd like to become an insider, just click the join button below. Thanks!